Why do we have to have a month?
The reason why is because it's people like you who don't understand why we really have it.
The LGBTQ plus community has over half a calendar year.
I don't like the flag. I think it's a piece of idiocy. I don't understand why it changes every bloody week. The gender-affirming care movement, Nazi, Auschwitz level awful.
You shouldn't even be giving that airtime. He says loads of nonsense.
Well, you say loads of nonsense. I don't deplatform you. How many men have ovaries?
I have no idea, Piers. I'm not in that situation.
No men have ovaries.
Well, a lot of you on this panel believe that there is only one type of woman, which is cisgender women.
Are there different
it's
types
not
of black
included in the
people?
conversation.
Or is black just black?
Ernest, if I now identify as a black man, am I a black man?
Why are you conflating race with gender, Piers?
I'm just
It's not
asking you
the
a
same
question,
thing.
Ernest. Am I a black man if I say I'm a black man? Mothers, fathers, armed forces veterans, fallen soldiers, women, patron saints all have one thing in common. There's one calendar day per year held in their honour, and quite right too. There's always been a source of some confusion to me that simply being gay or part of the LGBTQ2+ community entitles you to an entire month. I'm of course referring to the holy month of Pride, which mandates 30 days of revelry in honour of, as I say, the LGBTQIA, my apologies to A's-2SL-plus community. I have no idea what half of that means, but I'm very happy for everyone to lead the lives they want. And admittedly, after reading that aloud, it all makes a lot more sense. Or does it? Clearly there's a day for every letter, but the serious point here is that this kind of enforced celebration of sexual preferences is, I think, becoming a little bit counterproductive. There are many millions of people, myself included, who couldn't give a damn what you do behind closed doors, or frankly, in front of open doors, and would rather not know about it either way. I don't care. Why should they be browbeaten and shamed into thinking they're bigots if they don't go on with enforced month-long celebrations? This is what happened when Adele called out a heckler who reportedly shouted, "Pride sucks."
What was that? Did you just say pride sucks? Did you come to my show and just say that pride sucks? Are you stupid? Don't be so ridiculous. You got nothing nice to say, shut up, all right?
Charming. And here's the problem with that for young Adele, who was effing and blinding at somebody who paid presumably very good money to be at that concert of hers in Vegas. It turns out the man didn't shout "Pride sucks" at all. He shouted "Work sucks," to which most people probably would have agreed with him, including, judging by the whining that she's been doing since she got the gig in Vegas, Adele. But maybe he's employed by the BMW marketing department, which has been busy fielding complaints this week about another recurring Pride problem, corporate hypocrisy. The car maker dutifully changed its logo on social media to reflect the Pride rainbow, in keeping with many thousands of virtue signalling corporations across the Western world. The followers in the Middle East, where homosexuality is commemorated rather differently, got the plain old blue and white. After a backlash, BMW posted, "This is an established practice at the BMW Group, which takes into consideration market-specific legal regulations and country-specific cultural aspects." Well, there we have it then. These companies don't care about gay rights. They're not making a stand at all on any principled level. They're just adjusting their virtue signalling to amplify their virtue so they can sell the maximum number of products in any particular country of the world, regardless of what that country actually thinks about things like homosexuality. And as a very unhappy marriage of Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light shows, they will drop the cause like a flaming hot potato if it costs them money or there's any kind of backlash. Now, I fully support LGBT rights. I can only remember those four, so my apologies to the rest. I always have. And I don't need a rainbow on my cereal box, credit card, sandwich or beer to prove that. And I certainly don't need it for a month. In a moment, we'll debate all things Pride with tonight's pack, Esther Krakue, James Barr and Ernest Owens. But first, returning to Uncensored is Riley Gaines, whose new book appropriately is titled Swimming Against the Current, Fighting for Common Sense in a World That's Lost Its Mind. Well, Riley, great to have you back on Uncensored. How are you?
I'm doing great, Piers. It's great to be back on with you, so thank you.
Well, listen, you know, you're one of my heroines out there because you fight what's often been a very lonely battle against this kind of woke nonsense that's been happening, certainly in the sport that you were so accomplished in. Tell me the premise of the book.
Yes, it was a whirlwind. To be able to add author to my resume now is crazy. But the premise of the book, of course, a little background on me, what it takes to be an elite athlete, something that I think a lot of the people who are ultimately making the decisions, making these rules, don't understand. More depth and count of what we went through at that national championships in regard to the unfair competition and the locker room. Of course, the silencing that we faced. Again, something I don't think a lot of people understand. Why so few have been willing to put their name and their face to this. How we got here, the trajectory of where we're going, and what we as everyday people, common sense human beings who intuitively know that men and women are different, what we can do to combat this movement.
It is extraordinary to see what's happened in sport, but I do think that the woke worm is turning. I am beginning to feel like the silent mass majority are beginning to rise up and say enough of this. This has to be sorted a different way. When you see what's happened in swimming, in sprinting, in any sport that requires a fairness and equality around size and power and speed, which of course is determined largely by biological sex. It's why we separate the sexes for the Olympics, for example. I do feel the tide's turning, pardon the pun. Do you feel that?
100%. I feel more hopeful now than I have felt in these past 2 years since I've taken this stand. I think parents are waking up. I think coaches, female athletes, medical professionals. I think your everyday person who otherwise maybe would have considered themselves apolitical, probably people who thought this never would impact them, their families. They're understanding now that no one is immune to this movement. It's infiltrated into all levels, whether that's corporate America, whether that's academia, of course, within our government, our media, what have you. And they're understanding it's up to us as everyday people to call out the hypocrisy and push back. So yeah, I agree. I feel very hopeful at this point in time.
What do you feel about things like Pride Month? I mean, like I say, I support the LGBT community, always have done. But I find this whole idea of a whole month being set aside for celebrating Pride. I'm like, why? Why do we give one day to veterans of world wars and a month to gay people, for example? No harm intended on Mr. Barr here. I'm sure he'll be responding in kind to. But I have no issue with James and his sexuality.
Thank you.
But why do I have to celebrate it for a month?
I should say no issue with yours, Piers.
Well, yeah,
but I would rather you didn't ram it down my throat all the time.
There's no danger of that happening. But I just wanted to... But to be clear, there's no straight month, right? There's no celebration of my sexuality or ramming of anything down people's throats. But Riley, before we all lose the plot here... how do you feel about enforced virtue signalling, where if you don't go along with this, then you're kind of lambasted as a bigot? We see it in all sorts of different ways. I remember with the George Floyd murder happened, a horrific thing, which I wrote and spoke about a lot, about how horrific it was. And it had to affect real change, which it did. But that day when everyone was told to do a black square on their Instagram for a day, and I just didn't want to do it. And I instead posted a picture of myself in my local park with a bottle of rosé and got completely annihilated by people who felt this meant I must therefore be a racist. And I was like, no, I spent all morning actually debating this on television. I wrote a column about it, and then I fancied a glass of rosé, and I fancied exercising my free speech rights to post a picture of said bottle of rosé on my Instagram. And yet I literally had my kids ring me, my sons, who were being bombarded with abuse. What is your father doing? Why isn't he doing the black square? And I feel the same about the backlash that comes with things like Pride Month. It's like, if you don't go along with all this, somehow you must be homophobic, which I'm not. Your thoughts?
Right. No, I totally agree. I just want to know what posting a black square on Instagram, how that helps quite literally anybody. And yeah, to your point, Piers, look, the Pride movement, it's not just one day, it's not just 1 month. The LGBTQ plus community has over half a calendar year in days. There's Trans Visibility Day, there's Asexual Awareness Day, there's Gender Fluid Day. I mean, I can't even keep up. And yeah, it's not even about that these days exist or that they're divisive, I think, in their true nature. The problem is, just as you said, the backlash, the risk, the threats that we face if we don't participate, or even if we dare to question this. And again, it's in every single realm of society. This has seemingly overtaken the public square. And I think the same sentiment you had. What people do behind closed doors, by all means, that's the beauty of living in America. In my case, that's the beauty of where we live.
Of course.
But I don't want it to cost my taxpayer dollars, and I don't want to be forced to support this, because as a Christian, I mean, I don't support it, but that doesn't mean I want to infringe on someone else's rights, just as I don't want my rights as a woman infringed upon.
Well, let me play a clip before we come to the rest of the pack. This is Jordan Peterson, who's gotten to a furore over his video about pride, where he says a sexually narcissistic movement headed for a fall because it's been taken over by the radical trans lobby. Let's take a look.
There's a real tinge of narcissism, sexual narcissism. The trans pushing, gender affirming butchers and liars primarily target young people whose most likely outcome on the sexual front is homosexuality. I don't like the flag. I think it's a piece of idiocy. I don't understand why it changes every bloody week. And I think the surgery, the gender affirming care movement, I think it is Nazi Auschwitz level awful.
Mr. Barr.
What on earth is that closeted gay man wearing? That is an abomination. That is a crazy load of absolute bullshit. I'm sorry. That is insane. How dare he say that about Auschwitz? Gay people were killed alongside Jewish people and disabled people in the Holocaust. That is disgusting, Piers. That is disgusting. You shouldn't even be giving that airtime.
Well, he's a very famous guy.
Yeah, but we shouldn't be listening to what he thinks. I mean, he says loads of nonsense.
Well, you say loads of nonsense. I don't deplatform you.
No, I mean, I do agree with you.
that.
I agree with you, James. Wow, that drawing likeness to Nazis and Auschwitz is a bit extreme. However, he does make a valid point that.
Well, he was talking specifically about
the butchery of gender-affirming care.
That's what he was talking about.
I'm sorry. There is nothing positive about basically castrating people and chopping off their breasts and their sexual organs to try and affirm anything other than some deep psychological distress. And I think that's the point he should have made instead of comparing it to Auschwitz, because it doesn't always have to be compared to Auschwitz. That's a very touchy topic.
Everything that's been said here so far, I could write an essay about it. I have so much to say, and it's difficult to just respond to literally all of the insane things that have been coming out of your mouths over the last 10 minutes, to be honest.
What was insane
it would
about
take
anything Riley said?
I do find behind closed doors
what was
quite
insane about
offensive.
anything Riley said? This is what Riley
Listen, can I just reply to Esther first?
You
because
can.
I don't want to disrespect
everything Riley
who's-
ever says, people like you go, it's insane. I want to say, what is it she said that's insane?
It's a great question.
You want to move on?
No, I think what she said about how she doesn't agree with it, but whilst also saying,
I
don't. Well, that's not really
she doesn't
supportive,
have to
is
agree
it?
with you.
It's not supportive.
She doesn't have to agree with
why
you.
does everyone need to support
They
something
don't.
that
They
don't?
don't. But let me just try and make one single point,
It's
if I
not
can.
compulsory to
please make a
support
point.
anybody.
It's not that these concerns that Riley raises aren't important, or that women's safety isn't important. All of that is important. And what happened to Riley, it's an important story that we should listen to. Everyone should. And the left shouldn't be attacking you for that. That literally shouldn't happen. No one should be attacking anyone. We
Okay.
should listen with empathy.
Yes.
But I think the issue occurs when we look at abuse rates in America for women, right? It's 1 in 3 women that are abused by men in America. You haven't commented on that. You haven't commented on abortion. You haven't commented on so many things. Trump discussing that it's okay to grab a woman's pussy. You don't make comments on those issues. And those issues are affecting more women than a trans woman in a changing room, because there aren't that many. There's only 700,000 trans women in America.
So because
they
Riley-
can't all be abusing women. That would be
I
insane. They'd be
absolutely-
busy.
All right, I'll let Riley answer that herself.
There's a reason why. There's a reason why for this, though. The truth of the matter is that, thank you. The truth of the matter is that there's always this conversation about the woke group, the far left group that's pushing an agenda. But we got to be real about the people like her who's pushing a far right agenda that oftentimes is
She's not
fixated
far
on
right.
coming after people of color,
What are you
coming
talking
after
about,
queer
far
people,
right?
and also pushing an agenda that
Ernest, when
the
did
same
Riley
way that I'm
Gaines
like, what do you
be
mean by
far
woke?
right?
You don't even know what woke means.
Hold on.
You don't even know
Okay,
what
that's
woke
fine.
means, right?
That's
It's
fine.
the-
Can I
it's
just
the
ask you a
rhetoric
question?
that
Can I
you
just
use.
ask you a question?
And that's fine.
Hold on, Ernest.
Right?
Can I ask you a question just to clarify, because I'm none the wiser? Define
Sure.
far right. What's the definition of far right?
Far right are people that are pushing homophobic, transphobic views, misprescribing, misdefining terms such as woke. None of you all seem to really know what woke means, but you like to use it.
I wrote a book about it.
That's not a
So if you're
definition.
going to use
I
woke,
literally wrote a
It's just
book
people
about
you
it.
disagree with.
I'm going to call
That's
you all
far right to you,
far right
people you disagree with.
conservatives.
But see,
okay,
hang on.
No, it's the same thing with left. Anybody you don't agree with, you call woke. So if you're gonna call anyone you don't agree with woke or extreme or lefty,
yeah, literally, I don't even know what that word means.
I'm gonna call you
Let
all
me say
that.
something.
It's the past tense.
You saying that I'm
like I
a
said.
far-right homophobe. My response to that is saying that men can identify as women, and lesbians who don't want to date these men who identify as women. That is homophobic. You are using lesbians as your political pawn, and that's sick. Lesbians don't want this
Riley, you've just come out with that from nowhere.
So why are you calling a
anywhere,
political pawn?
That wasn't
Why
part
are
of
you
this
calling a
discussion. Where's that
political
come from?
Because he called me a homophobe, and I'm sitting here saying I'm fighting for the sex-based rights of lesbians,
we get
of women.
emotional about this, and we're right to.
Get emotional about a lot of things.
Discussing our rights.
How do you conflate?
Hang on, please don't talk over each other. Hang on,
with fighting for
Ernest,
women's rights.
hang on. Don't talk over each other, because otherwise we can't hear what's going on.
Yes.
You see, James, it's interesting because you showed zero support for Riley's campaign.
That's not actually what happened. I just showed some support.
No, I'm talking about her campaign. You wanted to campaign about everything, but she's actually chosen the one that has directly impacted her life.
No, my question is, why aren't you concerned about that too? Well, let's ask Riley if she is concerned about it.
She hasn't been hit by a man, James.
No, I'm going to come to that, but she's not here to talk about abuse of women. She's talking about the infringement on women's rights to fairness and equality in women's sport, which she herself has personally suffered from, right? Now, you have shown zero support for any women like Riley Gaines.
That's not true. I just said it's an important story. I literally said it's an important story that we need to listen to. That's what I said.
Last week,
Piers, I literally just said 2 minutes ago, it's an important story.
If I may remind you, I know a week is a long time in James Barr's memory lapse, but
it was over a week because you've been on holiday.
Last week, I had 3 days off. Last week, you said that the Olympics should be gender neutral.
Well, I still think it would solve a lot of problems.
It would solve zero problems.
It would solve so many problems.
And my point...
But I'm not a sports commentator. I don't know sport. But I'm telling you, I think we should listen to Riley's story. But my issue is not the story or the concern. My issue is that it's the only concern. And then when we drill it down...
It's literally her campaign.
What do you think about abortion rights in America? What do you think about what Trump says? You don't want to comment on it.
What do you think about the Uyghur Muslims in China?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's her truth.
What have you tweeted about the Uyghur Muslims? You haven't. So you're a bloody hypocrite. So
I'm not a hypocrite, but I'm saying
not everyone's doing everything.
I'm trying to explain why the left get upset. It's because we're looking at it and going, the only thing you're bringing up is trans.
Let me bring in Riley. Let's try and get some order here. This is exactly my...
Ernest,
wait a moment, please.
The hypocrisy is...
Wait a moment, Ernest. Riley, here's my point. We've just seen right there the hypocrisy.
It's not hypocrisy.
Right there. Right?
I'm trying to explain.
When I say to James Barr, why don't you talk about Uyghur Muslims oppression? Why should I?
Why don't you talk about Uyghur Muslims?
Why should I? I do. Right. Why should I? He doesn't. But he wants you to talk about all these other issues.
No, I don't. I am trying to explain why we get upset. It's because we look at it and we go, why is J.K. Rowling only concerned about this one thing?
She's not only really concerned about that. She tweets about a lot of stuff. Let me bring in Riley. You'd be very patient listening to this.
I think it's entirely disingenuous to say that this is the only issue that I care about. I spend majority of my time advocating for this issue, but that's not to say that I don't speak on other issues. A big campaign of mine and what I am advocating for now is women in prisons. Women who are most of the time victims of domestic assault, domestic abuse, to which your point, I will say any form of sexual violence, any form of domestic violence that women face is entirely wrong and should be denounced, and those who commit it should be criminalized. But a large push right now is for fighting for these women in prisons, incarcerated women. They still deserve sex-based protections and their rights too.
But it always comes back to this one issue, which only affects less women than the major issue.
Does that make it? Does that make it?
It doesn't make it wrong, and it's okay that that's wrong.
Let me bring in.
Explaining why we get upset.
Right.
Don't talk over each other, Ernest.
Right. Yes. The point I'm making is that that's exactly the point I was trying to make earlier, is that while she cares about other issues that are very important, and I agree with her on several of those issues, she's being platformed only when it comes to particular issues that are divisive, that are transphobic, that do not show the full nuance of her explored interest.
It's not transphobic to think 6'4" biological males should not be competing against women.
With Pride Month? Why is this being conflated with Pride Month, Piers? Why?
It's not being conflated.
Why is she here talking about, why is she in the conversation around Pride Month?
She wasn't. She was in a conversation about her book, which then led to a conversation about Pride Month.
But she's also in a conversation about Pride Month. Why is there a conflation there?
Pride Month affects
because it goes aligned with your far right agenda. And that's why you're bothered.
She's not far right.
That's the issue that we're talking about on the panel.
I think he's talking
Ernest, let me ask you. Ernest, why do we have to have... I want to ask Ernest a question. Why do we have to have a month of Pride?
Go ahead.
Why?
Because the reason why is because it's people like you who don't understand why we really have it. It's not really about sexuality. It's about allowing people who are like myself, who don't feel like they're being represented or being protected in a world and a society where people like Riley gets a platform to spew misinformation.
What's the misinformation?
Representation.
What's the misinformation, Ernest?
The misinformation about gender.
Tell me one thing she said. Tell me one thing she said that's wrong.
Weaponizing transgender people.
Tell me one thing she said, Ernest, that's wrong.
That is just the biggest.
Ernest.
And I just said that.
Ernest.
And I just said it.
I think it's the vibe.
I want you to correct one thing she said that was wrong.
Can you hear?
Yeah, answer me.
So, transgender people's existence does not threaten the existence of women.
No one has said that. Nobody said that.
But it is the vibe, though, isn't it?
No.
That is the vibe of this whole debate.
No.
It is, though. That's definitely the vibe. I'd say that's the vibe of your whole channel, actually.
Ernest, nobody has ever said that. No one said that.
It's the vibe.
I support trans rights, fairness, and equality.
You believe that, though?
You cannot think of a single thing. All right, I'm asking you one more time. Tell me one thing Riley Gaines has said, this far-right lunatic who's lying, apparently. Tell me one thing she said that is actually factually untrue.
Like I said before, trying to position
you can't answer, can
and
you?
over-index transgender people in sports. I said it again. Over-indexing the role of transgender people in sports as if it poses a threat to cisgender women.
Cisgender?
That's
I've got a
BS.
question for you then, Ernest. Why aren't we seeing women infiltrate into men's sport?
Yeah, of course we're not. Because they can't compete. You don't see any trans men going into men's sport, do you? Because they can't. They'd lose.
And I don't...
Ernest,
I'm trying to figure out what are you trying to say?
There aren't. There are no trans men competing at a high level in men's sport.
Women?
It doesn't happen.
No,
it doesn't exist.
Trans women are not.
No, I want to hear this.
Trans women are
she
men.
does not believe that transgender women are women.
Because they're not.
Right. And
they're not. For the love of God,
I don't think we should get into
they
that.
are not.
And there you have it. The transphobia is here.
Please stop abusing women by calling us cisgender. Women are just women, right? Anything else
so
you can add on the embellishments to it.
So she does not.
That doesn't make you a woman. I can't believe we have to have this conversation.
You know where this takes you, Ernest?
Abusing.
Ernest.
These are far. These are far. These are far right.
Biological reality is far right. Is that it?
Here's where this might.
Hang on. I'm a transphobe, then you are a misogynist.
And you're complaining with Pride Month.
That's complete nonsense. The Ovarian Cancer UK.
So defending transgender women
Ernest,
and defending
keep quiet for a
women
moment.
overall
Ernest, please stop talking. I'm reading something.
I love you, Ernest.
The Ovarian Cancer UK tweeted today.
Love you too.
Did you know that anyone with ovaries, regardless of gender identity, can be at risk for ovarian cancer? Let's raise awareness by asking, can men get ovarian cancer? James Barr, men can't get ovarian cancer because men don't have ovaries. What is a leading cancer charity doing asking this stupid question?
What are you doing attacking a charity?
Because I think that is attacking women.
Why are you attacking a charity?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because a woman then actually messaged me who has terminal ovarian cancer, who says the idea of being on a tiny ward with somebody identifying as a woman next to her who actually has a penis and is a man, right, fills her with utter horror.
Because of all the nonsense and fear-mongering that this platform is creating.
No, she's a woman, doesn't want to be around men.
Listen to me.
When she's dying.
Listen to me.
In an ovarian cancer.
If I decide to drink oat milk, that doesn't mean that actual milk is no longer is being threatened, okay? And in this case, this charity want to raise awareness about maybe 1%, if that, of people that could suffer from ovarian cancer.
So how many men? Okay, let me ask you. How many men have ovaries?
I have no idea, Piers. I'm not in that situation.
How many?
But they put it in their tweet. If you read it properly, it actually says what the statistics are. It does say.
No men have ovaries.
Well, according to a charity that work in this field, they do.
Men
so why don't you take it up with the charity?
No women have penises.
Well, according to the charity, who I think probably know more about ovaries than you do, because you aren't a woman, Piers, neither am I.
They clearly don't.
Sorry, look, you know so much about women, your wife took a 2-week break from you, so I don't know why we're listening to you talking about women constantly. Can we just get back to the fact that they are trying to help someone?
My wife did what, did you say?
Didn't you have a sabbatical from each other?
It was actually a lot longer than 2 weeks.
Was it?
Yeah.
How
I
long was
recommend it warmly. I wouldn't mind one from you. Let me bring Riley back in. Riley, this is the trouble. When you ask specific questions, Ernest, stop shouting.
Everybody, the conversation is clear.
Yes, go on, Ernest.
So I got to be quiet. But
go on, Ernest.
In a nutshell, the larger point I'm making here is that the reason why I'm saying transphobia is because it's clear on this panel that a lot of you on this panel believe that there is only one type of woman, which is cisgender women, and anyone else does not prescribe to that definition for you all.
No.
And in my opinion, that is transphobic.
Here's what I
believe.
believe.
You only believe that cisgender women are women, and everyone else
are there different
is
types
not
of black
included in the
people?
conversation.
Or is black just black?
It's called diaspora.
That's because
you don't know that?
Because
Caribbeans,
black is just
Jamaicans.
black. Just like there is no such thing as cisgender and transgender. There are just women. You can embellish your titles whatever you want.
Why are you conflating race with gender?
Let me ask you this, Ernest. Ernest, let me ask you this.
Why are you conflating race with gender?
Hang on, don't all shout. Ernest, let me ask you this. If I now identify as a black man, am I a black man?
Why are you conflating race with gender, Piers?
I'm just asking you a question, Ernest.
That's intellectually dishonest.
If I identify...
That's intellectually dishonest.
Maybe, but it's a question you don't want to answer, isn't it? If self-identity is limitless...
Because
I'm
race
now
is not the same as gender.
Ernest.
Because race is not the same as gender.
Am I a black man if I say I'm a black man?
Say it again.
Am I a black man
Listen,
if I say I'm a black man?
Could be...
Am I?
No, because you're a white man, because
Thank you.
It's race.
So you don't
because
respect my right
gender.
to identify as a black man, do you? Do you think it's ridiculous?
You can identify as a black man. You can identify as a black man, Piers, but I know you lean on white privilege more than anything else.
Okay, just to be clear, you wouldn't respect my rights to identify as a... Wow. You don't respect my rights to identify as a black man. In fact, you think it's ridiculous, don't you, Ernest?
You could, Piers, you could if you wanted to. And the reality is that in society, a white man like you can identify as black and not be harmed in the same way that a transgender person would.
Would you respect me and refer to me as a black man? Would you respect me and refer to me as a black man? Yes or no?
No.
Thank you, Ernest. Okay, let's move on to something else. This is...
The point is
Ernest, you had your chance. You had your chance. Ernest, you had your chance. Obviously, you wouldn't accept it because I'm not black.
You didn't even post a black square.
I'm not a black man. But you know what? Let's move on. Let's move on to some other lunatics.
You don't want to be a black man, Piers.
Let's
you
move on
want to be black.
All right, calm down, Ernest. Let's move on to Alec Baldwin.
I want to be black, Piers.
I want to move on to Alec Baldwin and one of the most grotesque promo videos, I think, in reality TV history. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Ilaria Baldwin.
And I'm Alec Baldwin.
And we have an announcement to make.
Good God, no.
No, definitely not. We're done having kids. This is about our show.
We're inviting you into our home to experience the ups and downs, the good, the bad, the wild, and the crazy.
We say we are the Baldwins.
No, we are the Baldwins. We all gotta say it.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
We are the Baldwins.
And we're coming to TLC.
Yeah.
So I have two thoughts we're going to be quick on this debate. I have two thoughts about this, Esther. One is, I thought these two really were concerned about privacy.
Yeah.
And here they are now putting cameras onto their entire family 24/7 for a reality show. And secondly, he is about to take part in a criminal trial about the fact that he shot a gun at a woman who then died.
Yeah.
Helena Hutchins. I just think on every level this is grotesque, isn't it?
It's image repair.
Yes.
Hang on,
I can't think of anything worse than watching something about Alec Baldwin and his excessively fertile wife. With
the dodgy accent.
Oh my God! And the 9. I can't even. I couldn't remember 9 kids' names. But this just shows how in poor taste this man lives his life. To be going through a criminal trial and then trying to open the doors to his I don't know, Manchester United-sized family life. It's just ridiculous.
Nine children. I think.
Oh my God.
Sounds very familiar.
I think Alec Baldwin maybe needs to shoot a few more blanks.
Sounds very familiar.
Oh my God.
Shooting blanks would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
Riley, what do you make of this?
No, I agree. Me watching that, I'm like, this is a guy who attacked the media relentlessly for invading his privacy. And now he's putting his family and his children on full display. Right. And quite honestly, like Esther said, I can't imagine anyone who would want to watch this. Well, so I think, we ask ourselves, is this image repair? Is this the money grab? I don't know.
We're on the verge of something historic here, because if Ernest Owens can find it in himself to agree, we have a united panel. Ernest, Alec Baldwin.
I agree.
Happy Pride Month, everyone.
Ernest, I'm glad we finally found a point of agreement. Thank you to my panel. Riley, congrats for the book. It's a great read. You remain one of my heroines. Keep fighting.
Riley,
Case for cancel
glow
culture
up,
is a
by
good
the way.
read,
You
too.
are looking...
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, everyone who appears on
Wait,
the
what
show.
did you say? Sorry.
The glow up. We love the glow
You've
up.
had a glow up.
Everyone who appears on Piers
Thank
Morgan.
you. Thank you.
Everyone who appears on Uncensored is a natural glow up, with one exception: James Barr.
Why have I not got a glow up?
I don't know, mate. You tell me. Looking very de-glowed. But thank you all to my panel, and thank you, Riley. And good luck with the
Thanks,
book.
guys.
Thanks very much.
Good to see
Happy
you
Pride
guys.
Month, Riley.
Oh, thank you. And you. As if you haven't been told enough.
Yeah, I think it should be all year round, every day.
Oh, God forbid.
Every day I'm
Lord.
proud of James
no,
Barr.
absolutely not.
Like straight
no,
pride, which is
no.
great.
I'll never leave my house.
Yeah, and then we'll have straight week. Can you imagine the hell that would unfurl?
I would love it. I need a
If
rest.
I actually
I need
tried
a
to
rest.
You get straight
organise
week
straight
11
week.
months of the year.
Straight
You get
week for
straight- you get
middle-aged
straight
white guys
months
like
every
me. Can you imagine?
11 months of the week.
I thought you were a
Imagine.
black
Ernest
kid.
Owens'
No,
head
no,
would
no,
ex-
you're a middle-aged
Ernest's
black
head
guy
would
now.
explode. Anyway, thank you all very much. We'll leave it there.